Gunna has finally had enough of the ongoing subliminal jabs from Young Thug and Lil Baby. After DJ Academics confirmed that both Thug and Baby had been calling him a snitch, Gunna decided to address the situation head-on. According to Academics, Young Thug had been telling everyone in the industry to avoid respecting Gunna, labeling him a snitch. Thug allegedly sent a message to fellow artists like Lil Durk and others, though their names remain undisclosed, urging them not to associate with Gunna. The streets were abuzz with talk of Gunna's supposed betrayal, and Thug's message was clear: "I don't care if you believe me, I'm telling you what's up." To fully grasp Gunna's response to the backlash he faced, it's necessary to look at the actions and statements made by Young Thug immediately following his release from jail. The events that unfolded after Thug's freedom had significant ripple effects across the hip-hop world, particularly for Gunna, who found himself in a public feud with multiple figures from within the rap community. Upon being freed, Young Thug took to Twitter, where he posted, "Wham, let's drop one on these rats." The phrase wham was widely understood to refer to Lil Baby, who had been vocal in his disdain for Gunna ever since the latter pled guilty in the YSL trial. Lil Baby had been one of the first high-profile rappers to publicly criticize Gunna, and he didn't waste any time firing back at him after Thug's tweet. On Instagram, Lil Baby called Gunna out once again, reinforcing his stance and making it clear that he stood firmly against the rapper who had pleaded guilty in the YSL case. It wasn't just Thug and Baby who were critical of Gunna. Following Thug's release, many other figures within the rap game distanced themselves from him. The public sentiment turned increasingly hostile, with Gunna finding himself at the center of a storm of controversy. Thug's release from jail had lit the fuse, reigniting the tension between Gunna and his former allies, and drawing the line in the sand between those who supported him and those who viewed him as a rat for cooperating with authorities. But the situation took another turn when Thug's father, Mr. Williams, entered the conversation. Thug's father made it clear that he believed Lil Baby's criticism of Gunna was misguided. He addressed Baby directly, telling him to quiet down, and questioning how Baby could pass judgment on Gunna's plea deal without understanding the full circumstances surrounding it. "When was the last time you went to a court date to support Slime, to support Jeffrey, or Thug? You don't know what's going on," Thug's father stated. His defense of Gunna was an attempt to shed light on the complexities of the situation, implying that Lil Baby and others had no idea what it was like to be in Gunna's shoes. Thug's father seemed to suggest that Gunna made the plea deal out of necessity and that people like Lil Baby had no right to criticize him without first-hand knowledge of the pressure and legal battles at play. Despite this, Lil Baby wasn't swayed and continued his public attacks on Gunna, making his feelings clear to his massive following. Baby's continued dissing only fueled the fire, causing the tension between the two to escalate even further. Gunna, once a close ally to Lil Baby, now found himself increasingly isolated as more people within the rap industry took sides against him. The conflict was no longer just a personal dispute, it had become a public spectacle that divided fans, artists, and members of the hip-hop community. That evening, the situation took another dramatic turn when Young Thug posted a video to his Instagram story. In the clip, Thug was seen hanging out with fellow rapper T.I., and the two were seen celebrating Thug's release. As they boasted about Thug's return, he made a subtle yet pointed remark that seemed to be aimed squarely at Gunna. "Ain't no cap in it," Thug said in the video, "the right way." Thug's message was unmistakable. He was touting his own legal victory and claiming that he had handled his situation properly, while Gunna's decision to take a plea deal was portrayed as a betrayal. The implication was clear: Thug had navigated his legal battles with integrity, while Gunna had chosen to cooperate with the authorities and turn his back on the YSL family. This series of actions, Thug's tweet, the escalating feud with Lil Baby, Thug's father's defense of Gunna, and Thug's Instagram video created a charged atmosphere in the hip-hop community. The rift between Gunna and his former friends and collaborators seemed irreparable as the divide grew wider with each passing day. The tension was not just about legal decisions, but about loyalty, honor, and the unspoken rules of street culture. In the world of hip-hop, where authenticity and loyalty are often seen as paramount, Gunna's actions were viewed by many as a betrayal of the code, something that could not be forgiven. For Gunna, the public dissing and backlash were difficult to ignore. While he had made the decision to plead guilty in the YSL case in an effort to secure his own freedom, he now faced the harsh reality that his choice had alienated him from many of his peers. As the insults and criticisms continued to pile up, Gunna was forced to confront the consequences of his decision. The question of whether or not his move was justified remained a deeply divisive topic in the rap community. For some, it was a pragmatic decision to save himself from a potentially long prison sentence. For others, it was an unforgivable act of betrayal that would forever tarnish his reputation. In the aftermath of Thug's release, the story became about more than just legal battles or plea deals. It became a story of loyalty, honor, and survival in the harsh world of hip-hop. Young Thug and Gunna's fallout exposed the complexities of the industry where personal and professional ties can quickly dissolve when one party is perceived to have crossed a line. Gunna's response to the ongoing criticism and his attempts to clear his name would be closely watched by fans and critics alike as the drama surrounding his decision continued to unfold in the public eye. Whether or not Gunna could regain his standing in the rap game remained to be seen, but it was clear that the feud between him, Young Thug, and Lil Baby was far from over. The next morning, Thug took to Twitter telling Gunna to stop pretending they were friends on social media. "I don't know you, my guy," Thug tweeted, making it clear that their relationship was officially over. This caught Gunna's attention, prompting his brother to comment, "Trust and believe the feeling is mutual." This prompted Young Thug to hop on Instagram Live, mocking Gunna and his brother. Thug laughed, saying he didn't care about them anymore, fully embracing the public beef. As the online drama continued to unfold, Young Thug went live again, possibly revealing too much in a conversation about what he intended to do to Gunna. The tension between them was palpable, and with each public exchange, the rift seemed to grow deeper. The already tense relationship between Gunna and Young Thug took a dramatic turn after a controversial Instagram Live interaction between Gunna and a friend. What seemed like a lighthearted, playful moment quickly spiraled into something much more serious. During the Instagram Live session, Gunna casually mentioned missing someone, speaking in a relaxed, informal manner. On the surface, it appeared harmless, a simple, friendly interaction between Gunna and his followers. However, what many didn't initially realize was that this seemingly innocent remark violated one of Gunna's probation terms. His probation prohibited him from engaging in activities that could be perceived as related to gang involvement or public associations that might lead to further scrutiny or legal trouble. This social media slip-up, although seemingly trivial, was significant because it drew immediate attention to Gunna's actions and behavior. Shortly after the Instagram Live session, disturbing reports began circulating about Gunna being followed and approached by local gang members, some of whom were allegedly connected to Young Thug and his YSL crew. This new development created an atmosphere of tension and fear around Gunna, as it was widely interpreted as a potential act of retaliation for his testimony during the YSL trial. Gunna's cooperation with authorities and his decision to take a plea deal had already made him a target for criticism, and now this apparent confrontation on the street seemed to confirm the growing animosity between him and those still loyal to Thug. The situation rapidly escalated, and just half an hour after these reports emerged, another bombshell dropped. A video surfaced showing Young Thug in a studio proudly displaying his expensive jewelry and celebrating his release. While Thug's appearance and mood might have seemed like a typical moment of victory, the context behind it was anything but ordinary. Thug had been vocal in his disdain for Gunna after the latter's plea deal, and his celebration only served to stoke the fire of their ongoing feud. This video was not the only piece of the puzzle, however. As tensions reached a boiling point, a phone call from Thug, recorded while he was still incarcerated, surfaced and went viral, further fueling the drama between the two. In the phone call, Young Thug was heard speaking to rapper Lil Durk, urging him to diss Gunna in his upcoming music. Thug's words were blunt and explicit. He wanted Durk to use his platform to take a direct shot at Gunna. The leaked snippet from the phone call showed Durk rapping the lines, "What happened to Virgil?" He's probably going to tell, which was a pointed reference to Gunna's plea deal and cooperation with the authorities. This was a remix of the song "What Happened to Virgil," which had originally featured Gunna before his plea deal and subsequent fallout with Thug's camp. The significance of this phone call and its subsequent leak was profound. It wasn't just a public jab at Gunna, it was a clear indication of how deep the rift between Thug and Gunna had become. Thug's influence within the rap community, combined with his powerful relationships in the streets, meant that his words carried weight. By encouraging Durk to diss Gunna in his music, Thug was not only taking aim at Gunna's credibility but also ensuring that the ongoing feud would be heavily publicized and further ingrained in the public consciousness. The rap world, already divided over Gunna's decision to take a plea deal, now found itself watching an open, escalating war between two of its most prominent figures. This phone call and the subsequent media frenzy surrounding it underscored the fact that the feud between Young Thug and Gunna was no longer just a personal conflict, it had become a full-scale public spectacle. Gunna, who had hoped to move forward with his career after securing his plea deal, now found himself caught in a bitter battle with his former mentor. Meanwhile, Young Thug, locked in a high-stakes legal situation of his own, was using his influence and connections to take shots at Gunna, solidifying his position as the clear antagonist in the ongoing drama. As the situation continued to unfold, both Gunna and Young Thug were faced with increasingly complicated personal and legal challenges. Gunna, who had already drawn the ire of the streets, was now being targeted from multiple fronts. His probation terms remained a looming concern, and every public interaction, every social media post seemed to put him at greater risk of violating those terms. On the other hand, Young Thug, despite his release from jail, was walking a fine line with his probationary conditions, which prohibited him from engaging in gang-related behavior or publicly associating with individuals involved in criminal activity. Every public statement and action, including his involvement in this feud with Gunna, was closely watched with potential consequences if he slipped up. The feud between Gunna and Young Thug, once confined to personal grievances and legal battles, had now erupted into a public spectacle with far-reaching implications.